Silver Stacker here. Welcome to another live stream. Hope you're all doing well. So you might have noticed in the title of this video of this live stream that I say tomorrow could be too late, and under normal circumstances, that would probably be hyperbole. It'd be a bit of an exaggeration, but unfortunately, given the news that I'm going to be sharing with you today, tomorrow may actually be too late to get prepared. So you need to be getting ready. And we're going to talk about some threats that we are all going to be facing in the near future, or potentially facing at least, some things we really need to be getting prepared for. And also, I want to go over some of the market data. Now, I've got about 20 minutes to go over all of this with you today. I'm a little bit of a hurry, so bear with me. We've got a lot to go over, and we're going to get right into it. So the reason I say tomorrow may be too late, this is a headline from Daily Mail. There's a lot of coverage of this, but this is something we need to absolutely be paying attention to. Former Hamas leader Khaled Mashal calls for a day of jihad on Friday the 13th. That's tomorrow, by the way, folks, and tells Muslims to take to the streets in protest against Israel. Now, we're going to talk about some things in this video. I don't know if it's going to get censored by the algorithm. Thank you, Paul, for the super chat, sir. If any of you are triggered easily, you might want to just tune out now. If you're not, and you want to help get this information out there, smash that like button. Do me a favor. Okay, so tomorrow, day of jihad. Obviously, I don't really think I need to expound on why we need to be taking this very seriously and what we need to be getting prepared for, because, for all the gold and silver you may have, threats to your physical security are a lot more pressing than threats to your pocketbook. So, take this any way you want, but keep your head on a swivel, folks, because we're not as safe here at home as you might think. And, there's a lot of ways you can get ready for threats to your physical security. One way, of course, is having a device to protect yourself. And now, looks like in Israel, they are beginning to understand that that is a very critical important for civilians to protect themselves. Now, again, I'm just going to put the headline on screen. I have to be very careful what I say on this video, but they're handing out something to civilians there. 10,000 of them, in fact. They go pew pew, and they're very useful for protecting yourself from bad people who want to do bad things to you. They're also distributing armor along with those items. Now, there's a lot of folks out there that want us to be disarmed and, helpless. And one of the things you hear frequently is, who needs one of these devices? Why would you need a device with 30 devices inside of it? You know what I'm talking about. Well, we got a very unfortunate lesson over the past weekend about who needs those things. I think some of those folks who were victims this weekend really could have used one of those devices that I'm not allowed to talk about on platforms like this. So smash that like button if you support the ability to defend yourself from some of the very evil people who are out there in the world. It's unfortunate that we have to learn this lesson over and over again, that the world is not a safe, cuddly, happy place all the time. And, it's great when you can create an environment like that, but you can never take it for granted. And also, it's a lesson that there's not somebody who's going to come save you. You have to be responsible for your own personal security. The police aren't necessarily going to arrive. They'll arrive after the fact, and they'll, collect evidence. The military, even in this case, witnessed over the weekend, not always going to protect you. Yeah, we need a silver launcher. I like that. Shiny, shiny man. So you need to be taking these threats very seriously. We also had the mayor of New York recently warn of lone wolf terror attacks and the need to be aware of those here, domestically in the U.S. and in New York. And certainly New York knows what it's like to be a victim in that way. And so, you've got to be getting prepared, folks, financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, security-wise. I mean, the world is falling apart before our very eyes. We're watching this play out in slow motion, and things are accelerating. So get ready. Now, A little housekeeping, a word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by sdbullion.com. Right now, you can get gold or silver at spot if you are a new customer by visiting sdbullion.com/new. If you're like me, you've been shopping with them for a while, check out the deals tab. They got a lot of good stuff over there. Right now, 1 ounce maple leaf gold coins and 1 ounce silver coins. Now, that might seem like a bit of an odd transition to you. We're talking about physical security and then we start talking about precious metals, but we're going to go over some of the numbers in the market today about some of the other things you need to be getting ready for. We got some inflation data. So yesterday we talked about the producer price index, which printed at the highest level since April. Those numbers, that is wholesale inflation, is the prices that sellers of goods and services receive for their products, ticking up in a significant way. But today we also got the CPI data that was released for September. And it came out, surprise, surprise, hotter than expected, 3.7%. Trying to find the latest numbers here. Yeah, here we go. September, the consumer price index for all urban consumers increased 0.4% and rose 3.7% year over year. So that is a sign that inflation is remaining elevated. The expectation, I think, was 3.5 or 3.6%. Surprise, surprise, the inflation continues to tick up. Now, of course, the effect that this is having on markets in this kind of clown world where good news is bad news is that we're actually seeing certain assets come under some pressure. We're seeing stocks selling off, all the major stock indexes in the red at the moment. As you can see there, they were in the green earlier, but they're giving up those gains. Gold and silver also falling on this news. Now, the reason for this is that this is affecting the anticipation of what the Fed will do next. I'm going to pull up the CME FedWatch tool here. Now, this is still showing that folks are broadly expecting a pause from the Fed at the November meeting. But this was over 90% last night. Now it's down under 90%. Still, again, the vast majority of folks expecting a pause, but don't forget that we have a fairly hawkish Fed in play here. Now, of course, a lot has changed since the last FOMC. The FOMC, a hawkish Jerome Powell is telling us we'd get another rate hike this year. Will they use this conflict as an excuse to pause? Well, clearly, the higher that inflation moves, the more pressure there's going to be on the Fed to continue their rate hikes. That's why we saw the 10-year yield resume its increase. In fact, it just spiked up a bit in the past couple minutes. Look at that, up over 2%. That's a big move in one day. Dustin Bowles telling us he's relying on a flintlock device from the 1700s. Well, that's a heck of a lot better than a pointed stick. So best of luck with that, sir. I prefer something a little more modern myself, but to each their own. All right, so we've got the 10-year yield at 4.69%. Now I'll pull up the 6-month chart here, and you can see that there was a bit of a pullback in the past couple of days in the yield here, but it looks like the debt sell-off is resuming, likely as a result of these higher inflation numbers indicating to investors that the Fed may resume its hike soon. But let's talk about why this debt sell-off is almost guaranteed to continue, in my opinion. It's because of the massive amount of borrowing that's going on. So you got to understand, the more treasuries that the Treasury sells onto the market, increasing the supply, it drives yields up, and that is going to be very bad for this economy. We're seeing inflation move up now, and we are also witnessing a rise in rates. We're hitting for stagflation, and all of this is a result of these modern monetary theory, Keynesian monetary policies of keeping interest rates low, racking up massive debts. Here's a story which shows you why this is likely not going to change anytime soon. All right, first of all, the national debt, $33.5 trillion. Okay, we know it's out of control, but it is going to be moving much higher. This is from Reuters. U.S. must be ready for simultaneous wars with China and Russia, report says. Okay, so we need to be ready for a simultaneous war with them. And, while that may be the unfortunate truth in the geopolitical system, which we've had a hand in setting up, this is going to be very costly. So this is from a bipartisan panel that was created in Congress. And according to this report from Reuters here, the findings would upend current U.S. national security strategy. Keep in mind that the current strategy is the one where we spend over $800 billion per year on security. So it's not like we have some, bare bones military budget right now, just to put this in context. But uh, this would call for winning one conflict while deterring another and require huge defense spending increases with uncertain congressional support. So, yeah, it's questionable how much, whoops, sorry about that. I'm kicking my tripod here. How much support there would be for in Congress. However, this was a bipartisan panel, and for the most part, both of these parties have shown that they're more than willing to borrow money out of the future, spend it into the now when it comes to defense. I don't think there's really a party that is trying to rein in defense spending or impoverish the military industrial complex. No, quite the contrary. And so, when you see reports like this, it means that there's going to be a lot more defense spending, as if that wasn't already known. Now, real quick, I do want to pause. We've got 252 people watching, 65 thumbs up. Please smash that like button if you feel like this information is worth sharing. Just take one moment, hit that like button. I know if you're on a mobile device or something, it can be a little hard to find, but I know if you're somebody who watches this channel, you are likely an intelligent individual. I know you can find that like button, smash it, do me a favor, and get this information out there. Thank you, all of you who are doing that. And also everybody who subscribes and tunes in. It really does help support the channel. And I think that this is information that is worth sharing. So again, I mentioned that this is going to be a short one today, folks, but listen, again, tomorrow is a day of jihad, according to the former Hamas leader. I'm going to revisit, since I talked about this at the beginning of the live stream. We got some more folks right now. We got non-compliant, says it's getting awfully biblical around here. Yeah, well, that is certainly seems to be the prevailing sentiment. Another interesting thing is that one of the things that's spiking right now in Google Trends is, will I be drafted for war? Or how old do you have to be to get drafted? Or how old is the cutoff? So, listen, we're heading towards full-blown World War III. It's already started. The fuse is lit. It's just a matter of time until something blows here, folks. So you need to be getting ready. And if you're just a civilian like myself at home, you still need to be taking security very seriously at this time. I mean, most of the time here in the U.S., depending on where you are, I think you're pretty safe. It's always important, though, to maintain situational awareness and have the capability to defend yourself. But let's just say this weekend, it might be a good time to stay home and have a nice, quiet time at home with the family. Someone says you're smarter than this. Jihad doesn't mean Westerners. What Westerners have been told it does. Okay, well, maybe there's some folks out there that didn't get that memo. So, yeah, if you are saying you're not in danger, calm down. Listen, that is burying your head in the sand, okay? And I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but when you look at what's happening in the world, I mean, look how quickly things can change. There were folks hanging out in the desert, and all of a sudden, folks start descending. Terrible, evil people start descending out of the sky on paragliders with weapons. I mean, put yourself into that scenario. LOL, paranoid American Rambos. Again, this is the epitome of normalcy bias, folks. This is a huge threat. Folks who don't take security seriously, you need to be aware of what's going on. Does that mean that you're going to walk out tomorrow and it's going to be red dawn? No, that's a very low probability event. Is the probability of that occurring higher than it was last week? Yeah, I would say it moved. And the probability that there is an event brewing that we could potentially be affected by, I think that goes without saying. So, no, I want to press it. I don't think there's going to be a draft, personally, unless, this devolves into a major conflict. Then, yeah, sure. No, one problem that we're going to face here in the U.S. is that very few people are fit for military service. We have a generation of young people who are overweight, raised on fast food. Their minds have been rotted by TikTok. If there is a draft, they're going to have a hard time finding candidates who are fit for service. So I don't know. Maybe they'll have some of those Boston Dynamics robots that can go and fight for us. But unless that's the case, it's going to be a real problem. So Look, I'm not too concerned about that myself. The whole draft thing, I mean, I hope we don't draft anybody. I think conscription is an evil practice to take, typically the poorest and, most vulnerable members of society and throw them into a meat grinder is beyond despicable, personally. I think that, if you want to join the military of your own free will, that's one thing. But forcing people to go do your bidding on behalf of a corporate cabal of war pigs. That's pretty terrible stuff. Personally, my view. That's just my take. I mean, I don't know. This is obviously going to be a divisive one. I'm sure I'll get some nasty comments, but that's just my take on things. Listen, be prepared, folks. Don't wait until tomorrow to get prepared, because you never know when the moment's going to come when you're really going to need your preparations, whether that be physical, financial, spiritual, mental. Start taking this seriously today, because if anything, we've gotten a lesson over the weekend that you never know when this sort of thing can happen. Is it a very low probability on any given day you step outside the house you're going to face a problem? Yeah. Is it likely that you at some point in your life may come up against somebody who wants to do you harm? That's not such a low probability. So, you want to be doing what you can to get prepared. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment down below how you're getting prepared. Or, maybe if you think I'm just being an alarmist, if I'm being a paranoid American Rambo, as some of the folks in the chat here seem to think, let me know that too. I always like to get your take on this. But that's it for today, folks. It's a short one, but I will be doing my best to keep everybody updated on this. And listen, best of luck to all of you. Stay safe, get prepared, and happy stacking. And I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.